This program is brought to you by Tab. We're on. Download the app today. What are you really gambling with?
Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to another week of Thoroughbreds Are Go. Coming up on this week's show, a familiar face from years gone by on Sky Racing, show horse competitor and now taking on thoroughbreds to retrain, Jo McKinnon, and her thoughts on the industry's efforts around thoroughbred aftercare. Danilo Quinn shows what can be achieved step by step in a thoroughbred, basically straight off the track, with expert coaching by five-star eventer Jade Findlay of Hanover Lodge. And my own homebred King William, who we've updated on over the years, bringing great joy to his former John Sargent stable rider Amber Ashby. That's all coming up on this edition of Thoroughbreds Are Go. Jo McKinnon has enormous experience in the show horse scene and is now retraining thoroughbreds at her property near Quirindi in New South Wales. She also has some strong thoughts about Australia's handling of the difficult topic of thoroughbred rehoming. Jo, it's a bit of a cold snap here in Quirindi in the northwest of New South Wales. You come from a showing background in the equestrian world, but of course you're well known for your media commentary on Sky Racing in particular over the years. And now you're retraining thoroughbreds, an area that promotes a lot of discussion, doesn't it? Tell us about the horses you have here now.
I've got 4 thoroughbreds at the moment on the property, in amongst the rest of the herd, which is stock horses, one of which I bred myself, and I've got a quarter horse as well. So a mix of different breeds and purposes, but very much the off-the-track horses are a passion and a focus of mine. And the horses that I've got at the moment are at varying ages, stages and levels of their lives and careers. So I've got an old retired show hack who plays paddock nanny to the younger new horses that I get off the track, and also helped wean my stock horse that I bred, so that was fantastic. Recently, only less than 2 months ago, I acquired a horse by the name of Lazarus from Queensland, where he saw out his very short and slow career. My number one horse in the off-the-track team at the moment is a horse by the name of DP Choir. That's his show name, but his race name was Bring It. Fantastic horse, Ollie. All the work's pretty much done there, albeit they still, when they're older and more seasoned, have a few quirks and a few challenges to work through. But he is an exceptional horse with a great temperament as well.
His coat for this time of the year looks sensational. Explain the layers of rugs that you put on and off all the time.
Caroline, you've probably noticed my nails. Typical horse woman, I think, these days. I spend more time looking after my horses and their coats than myself. Yeah. One of the great challenges of having show horses and competitive ones is their coat. He's stabled every night. He's got layers of rugs, as you mentioned, and that in itself is a bit of an art, is to not have them too hot, not have them too cool, keep them out of the cold, icy winds on a winter's day, because that's when their coats, as they say, blow. You've got to be pretty obsessed with the whole process to keep it right. And of course, that type of management is important and crucial but so too is the feeding regime of the horse. And there are lots of amazing supplements now and premix feeds on the market that you can use to really bring a horse's coat on. And you know what? At the end of the day, back to basics, nothing like a bit of elbow grease to really get their coat moving as well. So my horses are religiously brushed before and after they're worked. I try to avoid hosing them down on cool days and use a special oil that I mix with water to wipe them down. That puts a bit of oil back into their coat, but it's a bit of an old cowboy trick, that one, but it's better for the horse too when they're cooling down to not have had a wet hose down. The process I put them through is the same with all of them. So when they arrive, they're yarded depending on how quickly they settle into the new environment. Yarded and hard fed, my very light sort of ration, if you like. It's not too full of grain or anything like that. And good quality lucerne hay as well. Get them drinking, get them relaxed, get them settled into their environment, introduce them to the other horses here, the dogs, the very busy farm life that it is. I very carefully observe them in that yard for a week, sometimes longer, and handle them. It's really important to get a handle on them straight away. Don't just throw them out in a big paddock and suddenly expect to be able to handle a fully fledged racehorse fresh out of a paddock. Get a feel for the horse, its temperament, its attributes, so you know what you're dealing with down the track. I don't just set them loose into a 5-acre paddock with other horses to gallop around with. They go through a process again where they might go into a medium-sized paddock on their own to start with, see how they handle that. Then from there they move into the bigger paddock on their own again, see how they handle that. They've got horses running alongside them, but just to see how they interact over the fence with the other horses, whether they're going to be suitable and safe enough to then eventually paddock with a herd of other horses. And they really love it. They just come alive. You can see the look in their eye and their whole demeanour changes when they come to this environment. They're free, they're happy, they're exposed to lots of really interesting stuff, and that all pays dividends along the journey when it comes to them trying to make them into a competition mount. Assess their temperament. Be really judgmental of that from the outset, because some horses, unfortunately, are just not going to have the attitude and the temperament to make it or be a safe horse. So first and foremost, assess the temperament. Fortunately, I can use the stock horses here that are well trained, well handled, very quiet horses to train these young raw off the track horses. So with Lazarus, for example, he's at the moment in the groundwork phase. So I'm teaching him to tie up so that he can stand still for as long as I need him to, not nervously pawing the ground, champing his teeth, all those typical racehorse habits that they get off the track. So using Bandit, the stock horse, to tie up alongside him in the yards is a crucial part of their introduction to their life away from the racetrack. Monkey see, monkey do. They see the stock horse standing there very calmly, barely moving a hair for sometimes hours on end. They realise, oh, so it's not all helter-skelter and throw a saddle on me and, burn me along the racetrack. Suddenly they've realised, oh, life's now very different for me. So repeating that over and over and over sometimes the penny drops with horses really quickly, sometimes it takes a bit longer, but I have found that in the early stages of the journey that process works really well.
What do you see as the things that really need to be prioritised within the rehoming sphere in, any of the states of Australia?
Really important and interesting question, Caroline. I think ultimately anyone that invests in any animal, not just racehorses, buy a dog, you've got to look after it, make choices, make decisions. It's your responsibility. And I believe, as simplistic as this sounds, it should be the same for owning a racehorse. Whether you're a 2.5% shareholder, 20%, 80%, 100%, you must have an understanding that this horse might have a use-by date on the racetrack, but it's a living, breathing animal, and you have responsibility as the owner of that right through for the journey of its life. And some thoroughbreds can live to 25 years plus. That's a long time, and they change multiple hands and all that sort of thing along the way. But the original owner, I think, these days is more mindful of the importance of his or her role in this process. I think we're seeing more and more owners caring more about the longer-term process with the horse, but I think we've still got a long way to go to making people understand that yes, investing in a racehorse is of course about ultimately trying to win a race, and preferably a Group 1 worth millions of dollars. That's the whole industry pitch is about that. It's what we all dream and aspire to. I've got a share in a racehorse myself, and he's fortunately won quite a number of races and been a really handy horse on the track. I'm also telling my fellow owners, who I brought into racehorse ownership for the first time, Caroline, about the importance of understanding that the horse is giving us great joy now, but we're all as a group going to have a responsibility once he finishes his racing career to think about where to next for him. It's good for the industry to be seen to be encouraging those people to take more responsibility for when they're finished in their racing careers. And you see it in some of the syndications now that they've come up with fantastic initiatives where that process is managed right through
as a
to
retirement
the very
fund.
end.
Yes.
And if we saw more of that, I think that would be fantastic and a long way to helping people like myself and others that are working with these horses at the other end of the line, sometimes the not very favourable end of the line, where there's vet bills, farrier bills, dentist bills, feed bills, your time to manage these horses, and dragging my poor husband through the journey as well, who's very supportive, and I'm very lucky. It's a huge process to undertake, so any support that owners, original owners of those horses can give along the way is fantastic. And even just to have a genuine interest in what the horse is doing. Sadly, some owners probably don't really bother too much about what happens to that horse after it's finished racing and it hasn't won them a race, so they don't really care. But there are some owners that have a really genuine interest in seeing that horse progress in a different way.
And thanks to Jo McKinnon for her thoughts. Always great to see Jo back on our screens. Coming up after the break on Thoroughbreds Are Go, the John Thompson-trained Danilo Quinn, only months out of retraining and already with an Equimillion competition under his belt. Australian racing fans are well used to the colours of the late Dato Tan Shin Nam. Think Saintly, So You Think, Melbourne Cup winner Viewed, and so many more. And the family of the late Dato were thrilled to support Danil Quinn at the recent Equimillion, with other horses competing that they'd bred or raced, including Practical, Ruling Dynasty and Battenberg. Danil Quinn himself is now being retrained by five-star eventer Jade Findlay, and his rider Grace Campbell was thrilled with the improvement he made through the competition.
Deniliquin's mowing it down, and Deniliquin right over the top lane. And wins dominantly. Deniliquin first.
And Deniliquin stays them all at bay. Deniliquin beats Oz Legend.
Jade, it's fantastic to see Danil Quinn here. He was a really popular racehorse and a pretty good racehorse too. But tell us about the work you're doing with Grace to get him to have his first dressage test here at Equimillion.
Oh, well look, Danil Quinn is just a beautiful horse. He's only really been retired for a month, which is quite remarkable that he has got to Equimillions. We weren't sure if it was going to happen. He was definitely a good racehorse and he's a spirited individual. I think he's going to be a really lovely event horse for Grace. He's pretty special, he moves well, he's a beautiful type, he's very brave with the jumping we've done. But really, today was just about setting him up for the future, just getting him to relax in this environment, which is, of course, the last place he went out was the races.
Yep.
So just getting him in this environment with lots of people and lots of horses to relax and just understand that his job is quite different now.
Yeah.
But I mean, Grace and I, we've been working together for the last month since he was retired, and we've seen each other at least every week, if not twice a week. Again, it's just getting the horse to use completely different muscles to what they use galloping, and getting him to understand that it's not now about going fast, it's about going slow and relaxing and you know, just changing the whole way his body works. He's handled it amazingly. At home, he's been going so beautifully. Grace and Danil Quinn love each other, which is just the most beautiful part of the story. They've fallen in love straight away. But it's a really hard process re-educating them, but so essential because these horses are so young when they retire from racing. So to get them to have another life like you know, in horse sports is just so important.
Well, you know all about horse sports, obviously, as one of Australia's, you know, elite 3-day eventers. And it's so important, isn't it, for someone like Grace to be getting this coaching, isn't it? Like anyone taking on a thoroughbred, you obviously are very hands-on with Hinek Hooper, your husband, and Hanover Lodge, and you see a lot of thoroughbreds coming through. How different is it to educate a thoroughbred to any other horse? Is there much that's different?
There is a lot different because the horse has already got an imprint. So the horse understands that their job is to go and race. And then we're trying to teach them something completely different. So it is very different to training a horse that has just been broken in purely for horse sports to racing because, yeah, we're re-educating, we're not just educating. So it's very, very different.
Well, that's partly why he had the cult following, and everyone down at Deniliquin in New South Wales loved him. By Adelaide, the Cox Plate winner out of Sydney, and sponsored by Think Big Stud, which is great to see, you know, people that have had so much success on the track and put a lot into racing, supporting these horses further on. We saw Favreau here as well, who was another Think Big horse. It really is important, isn't it?
Oh, it's so important, and I think, you know, Grace is definitely so appreciative that Think Big has supported her to bring the horse here. I think that the racing industry needs to support this because we have to give these horses a life after racing, and they're very, very good at their next job. But like you say, as long as they're educated correctly and that they're given the time to relax and understand their new job. But yeah, I mean, we're very grateful that the racing industry is putting back into horse sports other than their own. It's wonderful.
Now tell us what he's doing, because you're very strong on saying, look, just let him now not come out of the ring and go straight back and have something to eat. Let him soak it in. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, he's there in the background. So Grace has just done her first ever dressage test, and there were some moments of absolute beauty and some moments of he didn't understand what he was supposed to be doing and why he was in a little white box. So he's got another dressage test this afternoon. So I felt it was really important for him mentally, because this horse will not struggle physically with his new job. It's getting him to mentally understand it and relax in the new job. So we've just said to Grace after the test, where he came out a bit buzzing, like, wow, what was that? That he now just stands in the atmosphere and learns to relax in this atmosphere. So he's over here having a pick of grass and getting some love and attention from Grace. I think she's walking a few circles as well, but I think it's really important that they learn to relax in their new atmosphere.
Well, it's very exciting for one, so I've got to thank you for this opportunity. He was definitely very excited. Even when we got here yesterday, he was very excited, but he tried very hard. I felt that he was, even though he was a little bit wobbly in spots, like that's completely normal, and that'll come with time. Just lots of time getting him out to new places and just, yeah, giving him lots of experience, lots of good experiences and things like that. But I felt, even though we did have some wobbly moments, I felt overall it was really good, because he tried really hard, he was listening to me, and I think it was a really good experience for both of us.
And you could hear Jade, obviously. I mean, you have one of the best competitive riders in Australia, you know, if not the world, who's helping you. What could you actually hear? Because you could see you'd respond really quickly to every bit of advice you were receiving.
Pretty much just calm, and what else did she say? She was saying leg, push, so just so I didn't tense up, because I was sort of forgetting, because I was sort of going, oh, he's getting a bit fresh, and then she was going, no, calm, push, use your leg. And I felt that was quite helpful. He's a very quick learner, like everything that we've been doing with him, maybe it'll take just a few minutes, or sometimes it'll take a while, but it clicks. Like he's a very quick learner, so it definitely helps having a quick learner.
What do you feel in him compared to other horses you've ridden?
I definitely feel a very bold and willing horse. Like some horses I've ridden and they've been like, oh yeah, like I want to do it, but not right into it. Whereas I can definitely see him being an eventer, and I definitely want to pursue that career with him. I definitely want to do lots of show jumping, but mainly make him into an eventing horse, yeah.
And you can tell you really love him, don't you?
Oh, I love him. He's very sweet.
Amazingly, again, I mean, this horse is quite remarkable. He's already started his jumping, so he'll do another dressage test this afternoon where I think he'll understand. He's very clever, so he'll understand his job a little better. On Monday, he's doing a couple of show jumping rounds. So at home, we've been educating him first over poles, then very small fences, and then he's been quite brave jumping some bigger fences at home. So in a month, he's been seriously remarkable. But what will happen now is Grace will now go back and take this as a good experience to then build on. So we'll continue then just to get him out to lots of places. I think I always say you've got to take these thoroughbreds like a handbag, take them everywhere, let them realise that they're no longer having to race, that their adrenaline levels drop and they relax in their new job. And so that's what she'll do, take him everywhere, go to every small show she can, every environment, to just expose him with the ultimate goal of him understanding he needs to be relaxed and happy in that new environment.
And what do you like about thoroughbreds overall?
I love how they've just got a very good temperament, and most of them are very quick learners, and they've got the stamina for cross country as well, because I love cross country, that's sort of my thing. They're people horses. Like, I've always found thoroughbreds have always been my best friend, like compared to other horses. Like I also love my Welshes as well, but I've found thoroughbreds are always they're more of a best friend than just a horse, if that makes sense. Like I just find, yeah, they just love people, especially Danny loves people.
Danilo Quinn, he improved so much in even one competition, and I can't wait to see him in another 12 months. Coming up after the break on Thoroughbreds Are Go, my own homebred thoroughbred gelding King William, who's found his happy place in Arrowfield Studs beyond the winning post. Where are they now? King William is a great example of what happens to thoroughbreds off the track. He's my third homebred foal from my mare Rose Among Thorns, and had a great ownership group, but his little legs couldn't carry him into the winner's stall in his short career. Since then, I've rehomed him several times, but so often the new owner's circumstances change. And he had a couple of years back with his mum and sisters until earlier this year, when his former rider at the John Sargent stable, Amber Ashby, took him on. And I've been lucky enough to get to spend some more time with him, helping out occasionally at his new base in Sydney. I filmed him this past weekend at the Thoroughbred Spring Fair at Hawkesbury on his first outing as a show horse. Here's the latest on King William and Amber.
King William's based in Sydney. I've had him 7 months. We just started off very steady with him. Me and my partner Campbell Ashby, who is a great horseman, has been helping me a lot with him. We did a lot of groundwork with him. The first month was just groundwork, lunging, just getting him back used to being ridden again and doing something again. Then we started off with the ridden work, taking everything slowly with him, almost re-breaking him sort of thing. But now we've got to the stage where we're jumping, we're doing dressage. We went to a show jumping competition a couple of weeks ago at Centennial Park. I get regular lessons with my coach Emma. Every week we have a lesson, and she's very impressed with the way we've been improving throughout the 7 months. So now I've got a lot of help behind me, and I'm very happy with his progress.
And the experience here today, I mean, it's so important. It's a lot happening here just to get him, realising it's not a race day.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as we got here yesterday, he was very stressed. He thought he was at the races. So we just got him in the box, got him relaxed. got him out for a pick of grass and walk around, and staying the night has really helped. It just helped his brain realise that, oh, actually we're not doing anything, it's just going to be a nice easy day. This morning he's pulled out, he's been chilled, he's been happy, and then we've had the speakers going off, so he automatically got a bit stressed again, but he dealt with it, and he performed well in his classes. He got a bit hot and a bit toey at times, but that's, you know, as we expected really for his first time out.
Yeah, and what's on for the future for King William?
Possibly a dressage night at Centennial Park at the end of November, and after that he'll go out for a break over Christmas, and then maybe next year we'll look at something in the Equimillions maybe, but we'll just see how we go.
And it's so beautiful, isn't it, to have these horses that are willing and keen to be doing something.
Yeah, no, I'm so impressed with his attitude. Everything I've asked of him he's done with ease. There's been no trouble, there's no nasties in him. If anything, he just gets a bit stressed in new situations, but once he realises everything's going to be all right, he relaxes and he's happy, and I feel like I've formed a really good partnership with him, and he's starting to trust that if I say it's okay, we're all good. Mum says it's fine. It's fine. I actually find him easier to ride than on the ground. I find when I'm on board, he relaxes, he's happy, and he's like, okay, Mum says it's fine, we're good. Where when I'm on the ground, he's a bit more on the toe and a bit more unsure of himself. It is a fun commitment, and now that I no longer work in the racing industry, it is great to just have that horsey time, because I work a normal 9-to-5 job now, and as I say, I can't do it without the help of my husband and my friends, but I'm very happy with how he is and how everything is working out.
That's all for this week on Thoroughbreds Are Go. Join me again next week as we catch up with Sky Racing's own Ali Mosley, looking after a Jerry Harvey bred unraced gelding, fittingly called Jerry. That and much, much more. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
This program is brought to you by Tab. We're on. Download the app today. What are you really gambling with?